a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Deus Ex Media.
Content and Capable recognises the Indigenous people on the land of which we record this podcast on, the Bowendig people. We offer a respect to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Sovereignty was never ceded.
Welcome to Content and Capable, the podcast that every week asks the question, what the fuck are you doing? My name is Christina Khan. I'm your host, and joining me today is Sam O'Brien, host of some podcast. I forget the name. Welcome to the podcast, Sam.
Thanks for having me, Christina. It's lovely to be here.
It's so good to have you. How have you been lately?
I've been really well. Totally haven't had any major traumatic events happen over the last 3 months.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah. No, it's been great. Almost uneventful.
Oh my God. Well, I'm really honored that you're here to let me interview you today on my podcast, Content and Capable. So if that's all right with you, I'm just going to jump right into it.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
So Sam, where did you get the idea for your podcast?
I kind of struggle to tell this story. I feel like it came to me over like 3 or 4 brainstorming sessions over like 6-8 months or so. Mm-hmm. I initially had the idea and I pitched it to the host of the restricted section. Anyway, I initially pitched it as like an adulting podcast, and it was this really weird kind of sensation where for a little bit I was very set on this idea of an adulting podcast, and I did a brainstorming session by myself initially, kind of going, this is what would need to fulfill a podcast, and here's some episode ideas, and this is what I'm thinking in terms of structure and stuff. And then I think I did a second brainstorming session as I started editing and putting things together, figuring out what I liked and didn't like. And I did a third one about 6 or 7 episodes in, I'd have to say, where I really figured out what I wanted to be doing. And that's where I think that third brainstorming session is where I kind of ditched the adulting angle of it and just kind of pitched it in an interesting interviews kind of segment. It was and just kind of like got rid of, how sometimes podcasts can do like, we're going to do this like segment we do every episode. That was just really hard to maintain, so I gave up on that very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I love the flexibility, and like honestly, I think it still is about adulting, but it's less about like, how does one become an adult, and it's more about like, well, none of us know, so let's just talk about the stuff we like.
Yeah. It's very much like, do you, and I want to celebrate you doing you.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, next question. Would you be willing to give up all methods of transportation except for horseback riding for a year in exchange for a lifetime supply of free Kleenex?
Ooh. No. Part of me is very tempted just because I never have enough, and having to go out to the shops and buy more is just the worst. you end up buying like, and because I live by myself, it's like you end up buying one box, and like there would be sometimes that box will last you like 3 months, and there'll be other times that box lasts you like a week because you've got a hella cold.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether the cost benefit works well enough with the transportation. Like, I do like the idea of traveling by horse. There'd be less accidents if we more travel by horse, I think.
That's probably true. But also, you have to fly home to your family, right?
Yeah.
That's a long horse trip.
I could see myself doing those TV montages on a horse.
It's just like, there goes Sam again on his montage.
Just like dramatic music, very medieval. Go from castle to castle.
So your answer to this is what?
No.
Okay, the answer is no.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So what kinds of things have you learned since starting your podcast?
I think one of the really difficult things that has come, like, part of what I've learnt is that it's okay to not have it all together. And this is like a lesson, obviously you can learn, like, conceptually in the podcast, but also it's a lesson that I've had to learn in producing the podcast. I don't have to have my, like, you know, I'd like to think that this is a professional podcast and we work really hard, but, you know, it's also really okay to go, I actually just can't, like. And I think that it's interesting. I think the end of last year and the start of this year, I've had to really come to terms with the fact that I'm going to have moments where I can't put my best foot forward, and I need to be okay with not being able to put my 110% best foot forward. It's interesting because then I reflect on some of the interviews I've had with people, and they talk about the exact same thing. You know, it's not, you know, you don't have to be all this put together perfect person. You're okay doing what you're doing, and you just need to focus on making sure that as a whole you're moving forward.
Yeah, I love that. That's like the advice they give to new podcasters, where it's like, don't spend all this like energy and resources getting like the perfect equipment or whatever. Like, you're a lot better off getting started just like using your phone or whatever, rather than like possibly not getting started because you're too worried about it being perfect.
Yeah, and like, I think it's interesting because I obviously, you know, as a day job, work as a journalist, and a lot of the conversations we have is like the pursuit of perfection in sacrifice of like, you know, progress. So it's so often we can lose sight of like what really matters in a situation by trying to be perfect, trying to have it all 110% put together. And working in radio now as in a professional capacity has been a really eye-opening, you know, it's okay, we can get that done in the morning, or, you know, that wasn't perfect, but, you know, it was passable, we're okay, happy with that. You know, it's you know where you can do better, and you know when you're doing really well, but also you don't have to be doing really well 100% of the time.
Yeah, totally. What are some other ways that your career as a journalist ties into your podcast?
I think it's really helped me be better at being active in a conversation. I think sometimes there are points where I've had conversations with people and I've gone, nah, that conversation wasn't flowing the way I wanted it to. And knowing how to recover it. Like, I need to put content out. This person has sacrificed time to be on my podcast for free, for nothing, you know, and they're here for their passion, and I need to put in as much passion as they're putting in. And whether that means that I need to bring myself out of my own mental craziness to just go, I'm going to get this interview moving forward, or, you know, having to flip on my own perceptions to really kind of make sure that what's going on is interesting for a listener, interesting for myself, interesting for editing Sam sometimes as well. It's
my God, yeah.
You know, there's a reason why every now and then I do put 4 people on a podcast and go, yep, let's just go and see what happens, because editing Sam needs a challenge every now and then.
Dude, the best and also stupidest feeling to me is when I'm like editing one of my own podcasts and then I'm like cackling, laughing at some stupid joke, but then like me in the track is also cackling, laughing at the same joke. And I'm like, I guess this is a really good joke because it got me twice.
Yeah. I think also like, so it's weird now because the job I work at, you know, I've got to be really careful as to what opinions I put out there, because I've got to be uber impartial because I'm working for the taxpayer. And it's really interesting. I think I've found that being an interesting experience of like learning how to ask questions in an open-minded way to kind of like let people run what they want to say and challenge them on their views sometimes, but also know that like where I'm just representing one corner of life, and I've got to be able to represent that fairly and not put my opinions or thoughts over the top of it. You know, talking over people's always been a big issue for me. And it's been really great to kind of like learn to like listen and figure out where the natural beat of a tangent ends.
Yeah, I think our whole network. Oh no, I'm doing it right now.
No.
I was about to say, I think our whole network has a hard time not talking over people, and then I did that, and I was talking over you. But I think we're all just like really excited to talk. You know.
Yeah.
It's happening.
I think also our whole network is really good at filling dead air as well. I remember when we recorded that, like, introducing Deus Ex Media, I think it's just like, shit, we are all too good at our jobs.
There's no dead air in sight.
Yeah. It's like in radio. There comes a point where you put too many people who are like good at their jobs in radio as hosts in a room together, and they just won't stop talking. And I hear it every now and then. I'm like, yes, perfect chaos. You know.
Yeah, but you also like find those people in real life too. You know, like there's people that you like meet and you like don't click with them, and then there's people that you meet. Most people that you meet, you just like don't have an opinion right away, and you just like keep building an opinion over time. But like sometimes you meet someone and you're right away, you're like, this is so easy. Like talking to you just feels so easy.
Yeah. It's so easy sometimes as well to assume that like a lot of those relationships aren't as well. Like it's like I would argue like there was a good 2 or 3, like 2 years where we worked fairly closely together, and we you know, we talked to each other a lot. But I do feel like that, like when we all started meeting each other in person was that point where we realized that we were actually each other's people, and like, these are the people I want to hang out with like forever and keep coming, you know, traveling 40 plus hours across the world to come and visit.
He really does. He does it like once a year. One day we'll come visit you, Sam. I swear to God.
That's okay. It's easy now because I'm young and I've got, you know, I've got access to be able to do this.
Sam, that's a really good... If you only could ride horseback, then that's a whole year that you just can't come visit us. That horse is not getting to Virginia.
At that point, I'd move to Virginia, I believe.
Oh, yeah, we love horses here.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Do you think you could fight a bear?
Ooh. No.
Okay.
Only for the sheer fact that heavy things I struggle with as well. If there's weight being thrown around, no way. Like,
and I gotta ask, like, what kind of bear are you picturing right now? Because I don't know what kind of bears Australians think are bears.
I'm thinking of like your Alaskan brown bear.
Okay.
Which is like terrifying.
Yeah, the brown bears are big and scary. The black bears are slightly smaller, slightly less scary. Still scary.
But then I'm also thinking of that bear from that Chinese zoo that everyone thought was a human dressed up in a costume as well.
Oh my God,
and that one still scares me as well.
That was like a moon bear or a sun bear. I think there's both, but I don't know which is which. Okay, so the answer is hard now.
Because it's like really skinny.
Okay. Yeah, that bear did look like a guy in a suit.
If I'm easily scared of like the concept of a bug being in my bed as an Australian, I think that, you know, keep that's my baseline. Like, I can't fall asleep thinking that there may be ants in my bed.
Well, I mean, and isn't Australia notoriously buggy?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is.
So you live a rough life.
Yeah, I do. There are nights where I'm awake for another 2 hours trying to figure out whether I'm.
Oh my God.
Okay,
so no on the bear.
Yeah, no way.
Okay, well that's fair. So how do you think your podcast, you talked about this a little bit about how you've pivoted, but like kind of looking at it more broadly, how do you feel like your podcast has changed since you started it?
I think it's become more relaxed. I think there was a high pace to start with, is like energy-wise, that didn't necessarily need to be there. I think the point where I felt like I really got into a really good groove is as a series of episodes in like August last year, maybe September, where I had like the people from Well I Laughed and the people from now I'm going to forget their name, Sort of Kind of Funny, and Bits and Pieces. And like I had these really great guests where conversation came really, really naturally and at a pace in which it didn't feel rushed. I think that there are definitely conversations, and that was where that whole idea of like you don't need to be 100% kind of came through as well, where it was just like you don't need to feel rushed, take things at your own time, enjoy the experience, but also let the conversation happen naturally. Like there's a natural back and forth to a conversation. Finding that rhythm is hard because especially when you're interviewing someone different every time, but when you find that rhythm, it's beautiful, it's lovely. It's like a high. It is a high. There's a reason why people get addicted to, as journalists interviewing and musicians, performing. When you find that natural rhythm of a group, it's just something extra.
Yeah, I love that. And I think something else about those episodes too is like, I think that if I'm remembering correctly, like y'all really let yourself get like off topic in a way that felt like we were getting a more fully rounded understanding of the people we were talking to, and I really liked that.
Yeah,
as well.
and I think if there was one thing I wanted to say, if anyone's listening and is like considering reaching out, going, I want to be a guest, it's like that's great, and I'm all for it. More guests, the merrier. But also, like, part of me wants to like tell people now that like I don't expect to sit and stay on topic for an hour and a half of recording. There is no way my ADHD riddled brain can do that anymore. We need to go on a random tangent about, your hiking adventures or the woes of your dating life or me not being able to schedule anything on time anymore. Taylor and I do need to sit down and do a rant episode about time zones.
That would be so funny.
Of all things, this episode, I think, is coming out around the same time that our time zones are about to shift again. So maybe we're just due for it. Maybe that's what we do.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, I eagerly await that episode because time zones really fuck me up. Like, I'm a pretty smart person, but I have a couple, what I would like to call, like, logical blocks. Like, a couple things that I just cannot get left and right, east and west. I got north and south down, but east and west can't do it. Time zones are like another like logical block for me. I'm like also daylight savings. I like cannot in my smart head, I cannot suss it out. What are we doing? What direction are things going in? What is happening to my life?
I can do cardinal directions. I can't do left and right. In fact, I got someone very angry on a motorway this weekend, not being able to do my lefts and rights.
Oh my God. Have you heard that there's like I need to look up like who does this, but there's like some culture or language where they don't say left or right. They say, so I would be like, oh, hey, Sam, there's a bug on your westward shoulder.
I think that
you just better hope you know which way west is.
Yeah, and I think there's an indigenous group that does it here in Australia, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are other like local cultures that do it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But yeah, daylight savings. So daylight savings was fine when I was living in Brisbane and we didn't follow daylight savings. Daylight savings was also fine when I lived in Victoria and I did daylight savings. Daylight savings and time zones have become incredibly not fine since I've moved to South Australia. It's on a half an hour. It is like offset from.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Like I can't even do. So I'm 20 minutes away from the border. So I'm only 20 minutes away from like being on a normal time zone. And driving over that border, like I'll have to catch a train just over the border. So I'll drive and it's like I've got to give myself like almost an extra 45 minutes just in case I fuck up the time zones.
Oh my God, that is really stressful.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I might be finishing work at 1:30 here, but it's 2:00 at the train station. The train leaves at 4, and it's like, shit, I've got to get moving.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, that's so stressful. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Colombia, South America. I keep saying that because there's technically there's like Colombia, South Carolina. But I think it's only like 1 hour difference from the time zone I'm in, but I keep getting confused because sometimes your phone will fix stuff for you and sometimes it won't. So I was like, "Oh, my flight is getting in like an hour later than yours or something." I was talking to my friend and then I was like, "Oh, wait, I think that's just the time difference." Too confusing.
The greatest part about flying...
I'll just get on the plane and get there when I get there.
Yeah. The greatest part about flying is that everything's in, like, your destination time zone, which is great for when you've got to, like, plan, like, connecting legs. But the worst part is, like, when you're then trying to figure out, like, people at home going, well, I will be arriving at this time, your time. Like, it's the worst. It's like when I rock up in the States and I land... It's, depending on when I leave, it's usually like the middle of the night by the time I like rock up in the States. So then you've got to like, you're there by yourself and you're trying, like you're panicking in US customs, feeling like a criminal and, while they...
Oh my God, nothing will make you feel more guilty than US customs. It's so
US
crazy.
Customs, and then the next one that makes me feel really guilty is that the video that they play before you land when you arrive in Australia. So when you fly in, at least from the States, and a couple other countries, I think from Japan at least as well, they do at least our national airline, the Australian government has a video that they make every airline that's flying from overseas play about declaring or like you can't bring any like fruit or vegetables or any natural goods into the country because we already have enough like pests that are destroying our agriculture sector. But like it is the scariest video, and like then you go and watch like Border Patrol and you're just like, it's reaffirmed like how scary it is. And these poor tourists or like poor people who just don't understand and just are like getting absolutely grilled, and like it almost feels like racially aggravated like abuse.
It's like, do you have any chocolate in your purse?
Yes.
Do you have any chocolate in your purse?
Like I find TSA is fine for me. Like I can understand why people at TSA are mad because no one knows how to line up in a line in TSA. I don't understand what's wrong with...
I know. Everyone's an idiot at the airport, I feel like.
Whereas like in Australia, maybe it's because, I don't know, maybe our lines are like designed very slightly differently for like that lowest common denominator. But like there are points...
No, it's got to be an American problem.
Well, yeah, there are points where I've been yelled at in Australia. It's more... In Australia, the rules at every airport are different. So you've got to, like, read the signs like a crazy person. At least in the States, it's all the same. I know to take my shoes off. I know to take my belt off. I know to take everything out of my pockets and take my laptop out and my, Whereas if I'm flying, like, out of Adelaide Airport, I can leave everything in my bag and I can leave my belt on. But I can't have a scrunched up pocket. If I have a pocket, like I've emptied my pockets and one of my pockets is scrunched up, they have to do a pat down on me.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, I got patted down the other day. It was hilarious.
It's like, wait, but isn't it like more obvious that there's nothing in your pocket?
The electronic scanner, can't scan all the way through it.
Can't read it as good?
They just want to triple check.
It can only scan through 2 layers of fabric. Wait,
and it's like very fancy. Anyway... but then like when I fly out of Brisbane where I used to live, it's like laptops out, aerosols out, they will yell at me for leaving my belt on, even though it's like a belt that's designed to be able to go through airport security being worn. And it's just so stupid.
They don't have enough time to like make exceptions.
Yeah, and now I live far enough away from capital cities that I don't even have airport security here. It's great.
Wow, someone's country didn't have a 9/11.
Well, no, but we do have to re-enter security as soon as we land. Like, it's like land, walk through security, and it's like, now you can catch your next plane.
That's so funny. Okay, I've never experienced that in my travels. So
I almost want to like...
It's good to know that airports like that exist.
Yeah, I almost want when you guys come visit to like take you to one of these airports to see that it exists. So it's real, I promise.
Oh my God, that's so funny. So Sam, tell me, if you had to pick between being left in the wilderness with nothing but a tarp for 1 week versus spending the night in an actual haunted house, which would you pick?
I don't like being left alone in a house in general, so I'm going into the wilderness. I will sleep.
You'd rather be alone in the wilderness.
Yeah. I would much prefer to be living with the bugs and the animals than in a house that makes weird noises at night.
Well, but you said you don't want to be left alone in the house, but I think that you would be very much not alone, unfortunately. I think you would be haunted.
That is deeply part of the issue.
That's a fuck no. Okay, that's a fuck no from us. All right, cool. That's good to know. So tell me, what is your favorite part about your podcasting process?
My favorite part is sometimes you make a shot in the dark and you're like, I really like these people. And part of it's timing, part of it's strategy. But all of a sudden they'll respond to your message and be really keen to jump on your podcast. Or be keen to like explore the idea. If it doesn't eventuate, it doesn't eventuate. It's fine. But being able to like sit there and go, I am speaking to these people that I adore and I find incredibly funny and incredibly smart and just all around amazing. It's like sitting at the adults table. It is one of my favorite, like the conversations I have. I've joked to a couple of people, if I didn't have to sit down and edit, I would be a very happy person. Just like running around, doing interviews, and then someone else does the editing. And it's the same.
Someone else edits.
I work in radio. It's the same at work. If I could just run around, do interviews, make phone calls, I didn't have to like sit down and edit at 5:30 in the morning, like trying to get work and trying to get things sorted. My life, much more simple.
Game changer. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, because I think that especially with your style of podcast that's like so based in having conversations with different people, you gotta love that part of it. You gotta love the conversations with people because that's like the whole shtick.
You learn a lot about people as well when you speak to them one-on-one. Like, you just... Sometimes it's very easy to like perceive something on social media and go, that's the way it works. That's always the way it works. And then they will like tell you something in the course of an interview and you go, oh, they've actually been really struggling with X, or this has been like a really interesting journey they've been on, or these people weren't friends before they started this podcast. And you learn a lot about like who they are as people in only just an hour and a half. Even just like sometimes when you've got like a duo on and the way they interact with each other, it's very eye-opening. I have not had a bad experience yet, but like very eye-opening as to like what kinds of people, you know, these content creators are. And some of these people did not expect to be in the position that they are in, which I find very interesting because they're incredibly smart, talented, successful people. Yeah,
that's so interesting. I think that's really goes into like, you know how I just, oh my God, let me see how many different ways I can start this sentence.
All good.
But like, you know how people just like really are encouraging each other to like ask questions of each other. Like the most like basic example is like, don't assume someone's pronouns, like just ask. And so I think that you mentioning that like you never really know what you're looking at or like what some two people's dynamic is or like what their process is. You can't really tell by looking. Like you really do have to ask and let people kind of like dictate their own stories.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge for me has been creating an environment that someone feels comfortable to tell their story in. There's definitely been interviews that I would love to go and revisit and go, I wish I put that person in a more, like that person felt more comfortable chatting. I would have loved to have learnt more and stuff. And it's some of that is just like not possible. I do have to remember I'm a straight white man who has a podcast. There is, you know, certain limitations as to what I can and can't do and what I can and can't have access to.
Well, and a lot of the people you're talking to, you don't know them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the first time you're speaking to them or whatever. And so that can be really hard.
Yeah. And there are other points as well where people have like made me feel really welcome and I've been able to sit there and go, I feel really confident in my ability to like draw out a really interesting conversation. And there are other points where I'm like, I actually don't feel like having a deep conversation at all. We're going to go off in 7 tangents because my brain is, you know, in need of stimulation.
Yeah, yes. If going on tangents helps you stay excited about the conversation, then by all means go.
It's the greatest thing ever. God's gift to podcasters is tangents.
The tangents. So, Sam, I gotta ask, have you ever been to Seattle, Washington?
I have actually.
Really? Do you? That's so wonderful. Mary Clay is actually planning a trip there soon. Do you have any recommendations for her?
Look, I went over 10 years ago, so probably the recommendations.
Okay. So you were a child.
Yeah, I was a child. Look, the Sky Tower is great. We did it both. I think we did it twice in the day and once at night. It was just like so much fun to stand on the top of the tower and like look out at everything.
Yeah.
That was the part of that first. We're going back to Canada next year. But it was part of that first Canada trip where we realized buying like a book of like touristy coupon things was really, really handy. It saves you like lots of money and you get to do all these really interesting things. The Seattle Aquarium's really great as well because you're on the Northern Pacific Ocean. It's just like such interesting marine life and they do such amazing work over there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I also got to mention that Seattle, Washington is only about 3 hours away from Forks, is my understanding, where Twilight takes place. So, Mary Clay, I know that you don't probably listen to this podcast because I don't feel like you listen to any podcasts. And I also know that you don't know anything about Twilight. But just in case on this trip you wanted to take a 3-hour detour for nothing that makes any sense to you, Forks, Washington. The least sunny place in the country, according to Twilight.
Also, the big thing, and this does help that my father is an aircraft maintenance engineer, is there's lots of planes, and plane-related museums. So we also went to a rock and roll museum
In Seattle?
Yeah, in Seattle itself.
Oh,
because that's where Boeing's based.
Why?
You know, and we went 10 years ago, back when Boeing was considered a half-decent company.
When they were good, yeah. Oh, the good old days. Cool. I like that your list of recommendations sounds very much like you were 10 years old when you went last.
we actually cut our time in Vancouver short because we thought Vancouver was boring. And I had a friend of mine who went to Vancouver last year, had the best time ever, compared it to like Melbourne here, which is like high praise in her books. And was like, okay, so I obviously did Vancouver wrong at the age of 10.
So what kind of podcasts do you listen to? What are some of your favorite podcasts?
I am a big fan. It's hard. Part of me, I fade in and out. So there's definitely, let me open up my Spotify while I waffle.
Nice.
So I've actually got a record of what I have been listening to, so I don't say the wrong things. I, at the moment, am listening to a lot of Well I Laughed, which is Grant and Myers' podcast, previous guests of my podcast. And they do it in like 3-episode cycles. So they do pick a theme, they tell a story based on the theme. Each of them tells a different story. And then they do like an Am I the Asshole segment. One of my favorite podcasts. It is so funny. Those two know how to get off on a tangent and get off real hard on a tangent. And it is just ridiculousness. And I love it. They did a live show a couple months ago, which was really hilarious. They kind of like...
Nice.
They've got like this really great community of people in Colorado they live with, just around. And so they like kind of like bounce off like each other's like lies and stuff, and it's really great. There must be a really good comedy scene there as well. I'm a big fan of Shameless, the podcast. It's done by Melbourne writers Michelle Andrews and Zara McDonald. They're really just well articulated. Their like catchline is for smart people who love dumb stuff. They do celebrity and pop culture news. So great. Has its like great funny moments, but then also keeps me up to date with what's going on in celebrity land. So many stories that I would have completely missed. And because they're like really smart, they're journalists. They sit there and they examine it from like a really smart angle, which I love. I listen
cool.
to a lot of Deus Ex Media podcasts. At the moment,
Oh,
I'm
really?
trying to keep on top of the restricted section and Burn Before Reading and Skywalk Before You Run.
Ooh, I heard one of those is really good.
One of them. My aim is to, once I'm like fully on top of those three, start going through the backlog of All the Eldest Gods, because I am quite far behind. And I do really love that podcast.
Well, and they're like wrapping up the final book right now.
What else? Every now and then when I'm feeling in the mood, I listen to Pod Save America. It's fun, but you've got to be in the right mood for it. Like, if I'm not feeling like politics, there's just no point in like listening to it.
Yeah, I feel like.
I'll listen to a couple of episodes every now and then of Sounds Like a Cult. I always want to like listen to more, but I also feel like there's that like desire for me to start from the start, which is just a bad idea. Don't start from the start. The other one of my absolute favourites is called Cancelled. It's by Mamma Mia, which is like a Australian women's media organisation. The two of my favourite comedians, journalists, they also happen to be twins. They sit down and they go through like the crimes of a celebrity or a concept sometimes. They cancelled pregnancy a couple months ago. But and
oh my god.
they did their most recent one is Dakota Madam Web of Lies Johnson, where they talk about like the weird stuff that Dakota Johnson's up. I learnt that Mariah Carey is an absolute diva. And like it's all like very much from a positive, like, you know, silly, but like it's so funny to hear like these stories that you just don't get to see, like get to hear about all the time, because sometimes it's just assumed knowledge as well.
Yeah, and I know, Sam, that you like to know the tea on stuff, so it's like, ooh, tell me a story.
Always the gossip. If I'm not hearing the gossip, like I'm not here for it. That's about it at the moment on my list. Like, that's my rotation usually. It's really hard to like get more than that on a rotation for me. Like, if I go through those podcasts, I'm already quite overwhelmed. There's like, you know, that's a weekly episode, 5 days a week, plus a couple of extra. They're all weeklies.
Yeah.
I actually am not a fan of the daily podcast.
That's too much, man. No. You get behind so fast.
And there's so many media outlets that put out like a daily news podcast, and I just have no desire to.
Yeah, I guess that like those are supposed to replace like the old school model of like coming home to watch the daily news, but I just don't want news that often. No,
not whatsoever. And I just think that and I've seen other podcasters who are like, I put out, you know, daily or 6 times a week, and I'm like, sometimes quality over quantity is like really important, and putting out something that you be proud of. And this kind of goes back to that balance I was talking about of like, you know, perfection and the pursuit of progress, is that, you know, sometimes it's better to err on that side of I want a higher quality project than, you know, running around trying to put as much content out there as possible.
Does Australia do bagged milk?
No, we do cartons, and we'll do cartons of milk, so like your paper cartons. But
yeah, we do cartons too.
But the vast majority come in like opaque plastic bottles that I'm never quite sure can be recycled.
Like a jug?
I don't have one on me.
Do they have handles?
Yeah, they've got a handle on it. Like it's...
Yeah, that's like a jug.
It's like a, you know, it's like a rectangular prism. Like it's very much like, you know, up and down. The handle's like built, like carved out of the rectangle.
Yeah.
And that's your 2 liter.
That's so funny because I'm pretty sure that in America we just straight up call that a jug. But you are saying that you're not...
That's a bottle of milk.
That's not just what you guys call that.
That's a bottle of milk. Like...
It's a bottle. We see something about like its size makes us go up a level to jug. That's very interesting.
Yeah, and we kind of like talk about it because each like different volumetric measure of milk has like a different shape, like a distinct shape, and most like major milk. Yeah. So your 3 liter and your 2 liter milk have got very distinct shapes, and that's all you either buy a 2 or a 3 liter in the store. If you're buying a 1 liter, it often will come in the paper carton just because it's small enough.
Don't worry, guys. Liters to gallons Don't worry, guys. I'm on this. So 3 liters is not even a full gallon. So wait, 3 liters is as big as it comes?
Yeah. I think Costco.
Wow. So
I think Costco tried a gallon, which is 4 liters. But it's just too big. It goes off too quickly.
I mean, I think that America has a milk problem.
America has a dairy problem.
I think yes, and ever since I started learning more about dairy, like, I feel like I can see it everywhere. I feel like ever since I learned that dairy makes you have this, like, white film on your tongue, I see it everywhere. I'm like, all of you motherfuckers are eating so much dairy. That's so funny. Australia doesn't even conceptualize of milk in our standard size. That's so wild. First of all, I buy oat milk, so it lasts forever.
So you get them
and then
in
I
those
also
little,
buy
I forget what they're called. They got like a special name. They're like cartons with the little, like, tops. Oh.
So mine just comes in like a standard milk carton, but I do see oat milk being sold in like a different kind of carton. Do you guys ever sell soups in that same kind of carton?
Oh, we don't do like pre-prepared soups, but like your chicken and beef stock would come in the same kind of carton.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, totally. Okay. So yeah, there's different kinds of oat milk packaging. Okay.
I'm just trying to find the name of those milk cartons because they got a specific name.
Oh, really? It's tiny carton.
Alternative milk.
Alternative carton.
No, they got like it's something a pack.
Like a soft pack?
No, it's like this like double-barreled name. Why don't I remember it? Tetra Packs is what they're called.
I've never heard that.
I think it's a brand name. Sorry, I do apologize for mentioning a brand name inadvertently. But Tetra Packs are then like made of they've got like cardboard and like an aluminium foil, and often the outside like coated in plastic. But it like
yeah, like do y'all have vitamin water?
Yeah, they come in plastic bottles. Vitamin water.
What the fuck? Oh wait, I'm not the. I said the wrong thing. Coconut water.
Yeah. Yes.
This is what we're describing. Listeners, I'm sure you're on the edge of your seat trying to figure out what this is. I identify this as exactly what coconut water comes in.
Yeah, so you can get it in a slightly different shape that's a little bit more, almost looks like A4-ish, but it's not A4 size. So Tetra Packs, they almost look like a juice box. They look like a big juice box because your juice boxes are Tetra Packs.
Okay.
And
I'm learning so much.
That's all the alternative milk comes in that, as well as your long life milk.
Yeah.
So we have like shelf stable milk. You can often.
Is it real milk?
It is real milk. It's like been stabilized, and in my mind, it tastes disgusting. Like I hate it with a burning passion.
Do you think that you feel that way because you conceptually know that it's been sitting out, or do you think that's a real taste thing?
I've hated it since a child. It's a taste thing. Dad will make, when we go like camping, Dad will use it for like breakfast. So it's like Weet-Bix and milk, and it's like,
oh yeah,
no. I would much prefer, and this sounds even more disgusting, putting 2 Weet-Bix in a Ziploc bag with like a teaspoon of sugar and a tablespoon of milk powder and putting water in it and eating and smushing it up and like eating it like baby food than I would having Tetra Pak milk. Like, no. Terrible.
What is one piece of equipment that you cannot go without as a podcaster?
My laptop. This sounds very basic. My laptop has a good enough recording like stuff. Being able to edit on a laptop, I would never want to edit. Like I don't even want to edit TikToks on my phone. I must edit.
It's hard with just the thumb.
Yeah. I must edit on a laptop. And like the recording stuff, like I've recorded podcasts through my laptop mic before. They sound great.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool. They must sound great because I've never fucking noticed, and I would have said something.
I have made accidents before. I've gone, that waveform doesn't look like that normally does, but okay.
Okay.
It must work. Anyway, yeah. My laptop is approaching 5 years old, which is like, it's approaching the conceptual life of this podcast. And it is getting to the point where it's like not as efficient as it was. But like I always said when I got this laptop that I would make it last 10 years. And I think I will make this laptop last 10 years. Which is an achievement in and of itself. No matter how, like, I'm very tempted to get it upgraded.
Yeah, that's a long, full life. It's like when you, when it's time to go to across the Rainbow Bridge to laptop heaven, we can say it's lived a long, full life.
Yeah. So the last laptop I had, and it must have been the laptop. I don't think I did any work on the podcast on that laptop, but I definitely did like other work on it. But it was like a 2009 MacBook Pro, and back then you could kind of like fix up MacBook Pros. So it had been given a new hard drive and a new battery when I was given it at about 5 years old, and it lasted another 5 years. This laptop here, brand new, bought it brand new. It's still going fine. It's had some storage issues. I managed to clear a couple 100 gigabytes worth of storage the other week by finding out that there was a whole bunch of like backup recordings of podcasts in a folder somewhere that did not need to be there.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to my brother James for finding that one for me. He was like, I'm really sick of you complaining about how there's no storage on your laptop. It's got to be somewhere. I'm like, yes, I agree. It's got to be somewhere. Can you have a look for me? Because I swear I've looked everywhere. And he found it. So
I feel like there's a way to pull up what your storage is being used
but
for.
Apple is like a bit shit. It will, like, you'll go like, it'll go, oh, it's got this much in documents or this much in files. And that's great. But what I also want to know is that what folder is the largest? What folder is holding 200 gigabytes worth of stuff?
That I don't need.
And what kind of file format is taking up the biggest file size?
Oh yeah, it's the Audacity projects, which you don't use Audacity
Thank goodness
anymore.
the Audacity projects don't exist on here anymore. The Reaper projects are so much smaller and so much more efficient on my laptop. I can get through almost a full season now with everything else that's on here.
Yeah, I have a pretty intense like storage system, and I offload my episode. I have a lot of storage on this computer and a lot of backup storage and a very strict routine for like offloading episodes into long-term storage.
One day I think we should pay to put all of like our podcast files somewhere just to like save them just in case something catastrophic happens, because
oh my god, we'll put them in like don't they have like seed banks like located in like deep
one day some historian's gonna have to go
like
through
bunkers?
the one-sided file where for the first half an hour of a recording it's just you trying to make sure the other person's connected to the internet.
They're gonna learn so much from us. Yeah.
They're gonna really learn how bad Australian internet was back in my day.
If a squirrel could bake a pie, what flavor do you think it would be?
I don't know why, but the first thing that came to my head was like a cinnamon pie. I reckon like a cinnamon nutmeg, like a nutty autumnal, maybe because it's
autumnal,
like a very autumnal pie. Saying that, the only time I've ever seen squirrels in person was the height of summer in New York. But you know,
wait, Australia doesn't have squirrels.
No, we don't have squirrels.
Oh my god, what an Americo-centric question for me to ask you. Wait, you definitely saw squirrels at my house. You might not have noticed them.
Oh no, I definitely did, because I took videos of them and sent them to my friends. They're like the weirdest thing. As an Australian, like, you're so used to seeing them in media because they're like an essential part to like American culture. And then all of a sudden you see them in person and you're like, oh wait, they are just like the cutest thing ever and also so stupid.
Yeah. They're pretty, cute and stupid. Yeah, I would agree. They're just
They
everywhere.
give ginger cat
What are you
vibes.
doing? I don't know, just eating a... Yeah. Yeah. Wait, that makes perfect sense.
I could see Ginny and a squirrel go at it.
Ginny being a golden doodle that we know, and right? Not the person
not
Ginny
Ginny.
that we know, or the other person Ginny. Penny. My ginger cat.
I got your
You
ginger
pivoted to
cat
talking about
and Taylor's
ginger
dog. I'm sorry, Taylor.
Oh, Ginny would be a really cute name for my cat, though.
It would be. Oh, that's right. Leela and
switch
Jason
her.
have a cat named Ginny, don't they? No.
They have a cat named Gus.
Gus. Okay.
And Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where. Somewhere someone has a cat named Ginny, and I don't know who. I've got to find it out now.
Surely that's true. That's gotta be true.
It's Gus. It's
Sam,
definitely
what's
Gus.
one time that
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, and Gus is yellow. I mean, orange.
Yeah.
He's a redhead. Sam, what's one time that you made a mistake on this podcast?
Ooh.
And what did you learn from it, or how was it okay? Maybe don't tell a sad story.
I'm trying to think of, like, mistakes. Not to say that I'm perfect. There's no way I'm fucking perfect.
I know, but it's like, to answer the question, it's like, you can't be like, oh, one time I just hit the wrong button. It's like, that's a boring story.
I also, like, always hit the wrong button. This is like a running gag.
You develop, this happens to me all the time, where like, if you do the wrong thing enough times, you develop a muscle memory for doing it wrong.
Yeah.
It's like so annoying.
I also, because I work in broadcast radio, I'm very good at, like, forgetting the mistakes I made the day before, because if they stay in my brain too long, just not. I think sometimes there's been a few moments where I haven't communicated with a guest about the vibe of the podcast quite right. I think especially in 2022, I have to argue, there was one guest I reached out, I won't name them, but I reached out to them and said, hey, would love for you to get on the podcast. They were keen. We organised a time. I sent them through the guest guide, and the vibe of the guest guide didn't match the vibe that they were, and they pulled out. And it felt really bad for a second, and I almost wanted to be angry, but it was just like a learning lesson of, like, I need to be a little bit more clear to communicate, like, what my podcast is about.
Interesting. That's so interesting to me, because I would never agree to be on a podcast without listening to it first. You know?
I also think that, and it was at that time, I also refined the guest guide at that point in time, because it was very much based on restricted section vibes, and the vibes of Content and Capable,
Which does have a different tone.
I was about to say, and the vibes of my podcast had changed a different, like, and it was a bit more separate. The other one is there are a couple of guests that I've had on that I wouldn't have on again. I just, and this is the thing, I follow these people on Instagram. I, like, keep across their content still, and it's like, I wouldn't have you on to discuss that again. Like, just not again. Like, that wouldn't be something I would do.
Yeah.
The other one is that, like, there's been a few guests that have, like, been really bad at answering questions about their own work, and it's like, if you're not prepared to come on, and it's really hard. You can't actually tell that, but, like, if you aren't prepared to talk about your work on a podcast, then you're not necessarily prepared to be on a podcast.
Yeah, we talk about this all the time. I mean, in our network creator meetings, we talk all the time about what it takes to be not only a good host, but also a good guest, because we're constantly guesting on each other's podcasts, sometimes on outside podcasts, and it really is a skill that you acquire. And Sam and I are lucky enough that we've been kind of, like, forced to develop these skills. Well, I think we're both kind of naturally good at it, but we have been forced to develop it because we're in these positions. But yeah, it's like, you have to be kind of constantly thinking about how to, like, both parties need to be committed to prolonging that conversation, or else you're not really going to have an episode. Sam and I, if he was just answering my questions, this would be a much shorter episode.
Yeah. And I also think there's a aspect of it as well that, like, you can ask all the open-ended questions you possibly can, and people can still, like, it won't necessarily be a one-word answer, but it won't necessarily be more than a one-sentence answer, and that is, like, the death. Like, I've had even professionally, we've had like people we've interviewed who just want to give one sentence answers, and it's like, I'm sorry, that's not how radio, that's not how any audio format works. You need to paint me a picture, you need to tell me a story, and you can try to tease that stuff out as much as you possibly can, but there is a point where you've just got to call it and go, this is not working. And there's been a few guests, and I think the keen listeners and the people who probably understand how I communicate will be able to tell the episodes where I've struggled with that before. I'm getting better at making it sound less that I've struggled with it and really like get a good, cover it and not like pivot the conversation a little bit.
Well, and that's something else that like editing can really tighten that up too, because pretty much every podcast episode has like weird pauses. Like even if you're like really organic with each other, like in the restricted section, because a lot of what I do is I just like read the plot that I have outlined. So I'll read like a thing and then I'm just like waiting to see if anyone has anything to say about it. And if they don't, I'm going to tighten that up. You're not going to know that I paused there, you know?
And it's really easy to kind of like, I don't know, there are points, and it's fascinating because I had this conversation with people who work in radio, and radio, because you're so pressed for time, you just get rid of all silence. There's no silences. But the art of like a good conversation is to have natural pauses in the way you speak, and natural slowdowns and natural speed ups. And it's not conducive to a good conversation. Like, you need to have all of those things. And to be able to do that, you've got to be able to speak for, a minute at a time on a question that someone's asked you. There's also an element of, I think some people have never really been asked outside of a family reunion what they do for work. And in a family reunion, you're giving one sentence answers, but you got to think,
you like kind of don't want people to keep asking questions.
Yeah.
Like I think I was talking in the Discord server the other day about how I had somebody doing like a quote for window replacement in my house, and he was like, "Oh, do you podcast?" And like, I'm sitting here editing a podcast with all my podcast gear, and I still just wanted to say no because I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, all the time. And it's so easy to kind of like go, be that way automatically all the time. I think especially our culture nowadays is so, don't tell everyone exactly, what's going on in your life, just give a minimal answer, especially, when you don't have the greatest relationship with your family, or you don't spend a huge amount of time with your family. It's really hard to explain. People who make livings on the internet find it really hard to explain what they do to their parents. And so sometimes it's just best not to talk about that. And I totally understand that. Half of explaining what my job is to my family has been like, I find it really hard to explain that, yes, I just do sit for 4 hours at a time and answer the phones. And like...
Yeah, yep.
It's like, yes...
Yeah, I know.
I was about to say, yes, I am a glorified receptionist, but that is only part of my job.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that my grandma 2 years ago died being confused and proud about my radio show, because I was like, I'm not gonna explain to you what a podcast is. I was like, I have a radio show, and she's like, what? Why? Yeah. What do you talk about? Books. Okay.
And it's really like, and I totally understand, but there is an element, and I don't know, maybe because I have, not to brag, I've got tertiary qualifications in this. Like, you've got to be able to, as someone who's like a guest or something, even just like polite conversation sometimes. I think sometimes we've lost the art of like polite conversation and going, someone's got to like fill the dead air here. Let's like answer these questions. Let's bounce things off each other. And my mother taught me, and not that my mother listens, but my mother taught me so well at just like knowing how to bounce a conversation off people, ask follow-up questions and bits and pieces, and then being able to go, okay, here's a topic, speak on that for 3 minutes is it is a skill, and you've got to practice it. You can't just like jump on a podcast and sound amazing.
Yeah, it's a skill. It's totally a skill. It's a skill that kind of anyone can pick up, but it's also worth mentioning that like you just like don't have to. Like, I think it's like very normal and fine for you to be like, oh, I don't like talking in public.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, good, don't. Like, people my husband Sean, who is very introverted, has he ever appeared on any podcast? Yes, maybe even this one. But is he like out there podcasting? No, because he doesn't like to talk. He doesn't like to talk to people.
Although, when you do get him talking, he's great.
It's pretty funny.
He's great value for money. I love him. But it's, yeah, and like, I get it. I think maybe, and it's a bit of like generational pressure, I think. My mum has seen her side of the family are very good at just kind of not, like, they'll talk to each other, they'll catch up with each other, but like, they're like, we don't feel the need to talk to anyone else but each other. And my mum very much doesn't like that. She goes, there are people here who are visiting us or who are here and want to know about what's going on in our lives. And so she, and my dad as well, actually, now that I think about it, put a lot of effort in. And it feels very eldest daughter, like, you know, put the effort into.
That's what I've been thinking this whole time. I've been sitting here this whole time being like, don't say eldest daughter, don't say eldest daughter, don't say eldest daughter.
But it's like, and you don't have to be good at it, and you don't have to like perfect it. But I often find if you're creating content on the internet as well, like, it's really important to be able to have a conversation with someone about it as well. Sometimes I think we as creators are stuck in our bubbles, and we're stuck with people who know exactly what we do, and you've never had to do the elevator pitch. And I've learnt so much doing iterations of the elevator pitch on my podcast to people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time over on the restricted section. Because it started out as like a podcast for adults who love Harry Potter. And then now it's my elevator pitch is a Harry Potter breakup podcast. It's like, how can I convey in as few words as possible exactly what we're doing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think as few words but with as much meaning and context as well is a really, really hard balance that even professional communicators get wrong. There are so many PR emails I receive and I go, you've communicated that in the most poor way possible. Please never say that in that way again.
So judgy. I, too, find myself being quite judgy about how other people communicate. But I just have to remind myself that's because I am blessed with great skills. Sam, we are so lucky.
I know, we are
Look
very lucky. But also, and everyone's at different skill levels, and there's different things going on in the background all the time that I think I've got to remember. Sometimes I get very judgy very quickly, and that's probably part of my hubris speaking.
Yeah. So what country do you think you could like most confidently escape from with only a fistful of coins in the local currency and a fake passport drawn in crayon?
New Zealand.
But you have to escape though, and it's an island.
New Zealand people are so friendly. I reckon I could convince someone to like get me off the island for free.
Okay, you're like, look at this passport, and they're like, that's beautifully
drawn. There's a story. There's a comedian here in Australia. I think it's Reece Nicholson. He like got stuck in New Zealand. He lost his passport, and the border control agent in New Zealand was like, let's ring Canberra, and we'll sort it out. And they did, and so he flew into Australia. They're like,
man, never in America.
It's just one of those things. And I don't know whether it was because he was famous. I don't know whether it was, whether this is hyperbole. But, like, the story goes that he just rang Canberra and, like, the Australian, like, government were like, yeah, we're fine with him coming in without a passport.
Yeah, he's ours. Oh, my God, that's so
We can take him. We're happy to take him back. You don't need to keep him. But also, like, and...
Yeah, he's a
if
good
you
one.
asked Brooke or Michael Boothby, like, New Zealand's such a chill country, you could hitchhike the length of New Zealand probably today and it would still be kind of okay.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
I reckon you could. Like, there would be someone on some fishing boat going to Samoa or something that, you could just hitch a lift with and, he wouldn't care. He'd probably feed you.
Oh, I love that.
I haven't been to New Zealand. This is the vibes I get. Hopefully, I'll make it to New Zealand this year.
How have you not been to New Zealand? You travel.
I know. While I travel a lot, I don't consider myself well-traveled. There are particular destinations I go to.
You just keep coming to my house over and over again.
Christina's house, Vancouver. I probably actually need to. Yeah. I was hoping to get to the UK this year. I don't think I'll make it to the UK. Not the UK, Europe this year. I think the idea is New Zealand. A friend of mine's like, I've got 2 months off between jobs. Do you want to go somewhere? And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go to New Zealand.
Fuck yeah. That's cool. I guess I shouldn't be saying, why haven't you been to New Zealand? It's right there, because I have never been to Canada or Mexico.
I would have assumed you've been to Mexico. I don't know why. In my head, you're like the Mexico kind of guy.
I just like beaches, and I like it to be warm, and Mexico definitely has those two things.
Yeah. There's an assumption that a lot of Australians have been to Bali. I've never been, which is in Indonesia. And it's, but the problem, I'm terrified. I don't think I'd ever go because you're not supposed to drink the tap water there because you get Bali belly, which is just like basically a form of food poisoning. And it's like really common, and I don't like being sick on holidays. I've been sick on holidays enough.
Well, just don't drink the tap water.
Pardon? Oh, yeah. But, like, that gives me so much anxiety because then it's like, if the ice is made out of tap water, you're not supposed to drink any drinks with ice in it. And then
I just think that people would know better than to serve it to you.
No. They keep serving it because they're fine with it. You know, it's whatever. And us, like, poor Westerners, who have got weak stomachs. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been drinking city water my whole life, which is pretty good. Oh, wait, I had a well when I was a kid.
I did find it jarring. There were a couple of occasions on my first trip to the States where people were like, yeah, and the water's okay to drink out of the tap. And I was like, when is water not okay to drink out of the tap? What's happened?
It really depends where you are, because like when I was a kid, we had a well and it would routinely get like contaminated with shit, or I don't really remember, but it would routinely be undrinkable.
And like it's not like there isn't undrinkable water in Australia. There definitely is. But also it's more taste when you come to like the part of the country that I live in. South Australian water notoriously, because it's bore water, and it comes from like the artesian basin, which is like all of this water that sits underground. It notoriously tastes terrible. Whereas
really? That's so funny.
Whereas Melbourne's water, like New York's water, isn't treated the same way that normal city water is treated. So it's like this super special natural water that like wins the Water Taste Awards for Australia every year.
Whoa. I'm the kind of bitch who will drink any tap water. Like, I've never met a tap water I didn't like. Like, I will drink... Sometimes people are like, doesn't it taste kind of farty to you? And I'm like, no, I'll drink it. I don't give a shit.
When we were in Adelaide, it must have been 8 or 9 years ago, we were on a road trip and we had to fill up these jerry cans with water. Just for safety, we were driving through the outback. It's a safety thing. But the water tasted so terrible that when we got back home, we emptied them and then cleaned them out with soap because it was...
Oh, yeah. Because emergency water can taste bad. One time, me, Brooke, and Haley were on a very long hike and we were running out of water. And so we used iodine tablets to decontaminate some possibly sacred water. We don't think it was sacred. There's just petroglyphs nearby and we were joking about drinking spirit water. But that shit tasted like pool water, and I was like, only right now when I'm like hiking and so thirsty and hot will I drink just straight up pool water. My whole body was like, this is wrong. You've been training all your life to not do this.
The worst one is I really hate drinking hot water. I've had to like train myself to drink hot beverages because hot water like gives me the absolute ick.
Oh, wait, really? Like even... Like for tea and coffee, you've had to like...
Yeah, even for tea and coffee. Worse when it's just by itself.
Because like I understand... Yeah, because I understand like you leave a bottle of water in the car and it's hot and you don't want to drink it. Like I get that. But that's so interesting. So you've had to train yourself to like tea and coffee?
Yeah, well, at least hot tea and hot coffee. Because, you know, I'm an iced latte bitch in the summer. So...
So Sam, what are some of your goals for this podcast? Like, what are you looking at in the next couple of years?
Well, if the listeners weren't aware, my publication schedule hasn't been super consistent the last month, 2-3 months or so. My aim is to get back on schedule, starting now, right now. My aim is to get back to be...
And just to be clear, this has been a permitted... What am I trying to say? This has been a permitted inconsistency.
Oh, it's like...
This is all
it's
above
100%
board.
above board. It doesn't stop me from feeling guilty, eldest daughter again. But it's also one of those things where I want to get really consistent to the point where I also just want to, like, interview more famous people. Like, just, like, slide into the DMs of your local famous celebrity.
Slide in.
And chat with them.
Hell yeah.
And, like, I want to be interviewing people from a wider variety of backgrounds as well. More scientists. More people who are doing really interesting shit. Like, people who...
Yes.
Who are doing, like, writing books and talking about, like, what they've been hyper-focusing on for the last 2 or 3 years. If I could get Jamie Loftus on the podcast to talk about hot dogs for 3 hours, I fucking would.
Oh my God.
I love that book.
Oh yeah, because Jamie Loftus is a podcaster that I love, and she recently released a book. I mean, I guess it was like a year ago now, called Raw Dog, and it's like a anthropological, like a socio look at the American hot dog, but it's also the journey of like one girl eating her weight in hot dogs, losing her mind, slowly breaking up with her boyfriend as she crosses the country. It's just so crazy. It's so many things.
I know, and the boyfriend breakup was the one that threw me for the most left turn. I was like, wait, this is going to happen? Like, because it gets kind of spoiled quite early on.
Yes, you could totally tell that it's coming because she's like talking. She's like, me and my stupid boyfriend who didn't even like hot dogs got in the car.
Yeah,
like, whatever.
And like the
says
two
about him,
dogs,
it's, like, so
and like it was just such a compelling story, and the way that she told that story, like you could tell she's a podcaster. Like the way, like
she's a good
just
storyteller.
such a good story, a great through line with like amazing tangents as well, and the way that she described like things like Boston in the summer, like I was like, wow, that just reminds me of like walking around Boston with Charlie. Like, you know, it's just some of those vivid descriptions, or like being in New York in the heat of the summer. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's great. Well, I hope you can get her on the podcast. Talk about filling air. That bitch can talk. She's on the Bechdel cast with like one of her best friends, and she speaks, I swear to God, 80% of the time.
You know what? I love that because I'm the kind of person that after like 5 minutes of speaking, I like, my voice hurts. I need to stop now. Quick, ask a question.
That can't be right. We've been talking for at least 60 minutes.
We have been. This is the most I've spoken in like one stint in a really long time. I have like a 10-minute segment on radio, and I'm like very good at the 10 minutes now. 10 minutes of conversation, but
oh yeah, because usually you ask the questions, which are so much shorter, and then the answers are longer.
It does require more mental gymnastics and concentration. The amount of times I can get distracted. I'm like, for context, like I'm sitting at like a desk and there is like 2 bookshelves either side of me. I've got a ring light in front of me to make me look less like a silhouette. And I've got like a couple of bits of paper. There's like a change of car registration form here, a bag of pegs, a roll of tape, a thing of AirPods.
What is a bag of pegs?
Pegs.
What is that? Oh, okay, what's a bag of pegs? What's pegs?
You're washing pegs. For your washing line.
He's talking about clothespins, guys. He just held up a bag of clothespins. Which nobody uses in America because nobody hang dries anything anymore anyway.
And I refuse.
In some places in America, it's literally illegal to have a clothesline in your yard.
Okay, we need to stop homeowners associations. They are like the bane of my existence.
Know. What a menace.
But yeah, I've been like playing like with this scrap of plastic the whole recording to try to keep myself on like task, because if I like play with anything else, or if I like try to ignore everything else, I'll start doing things on my computer, including replying to messages and emails, which I is like the height of rudeness when you have a guest on a podcast.
Oh my God. I do remember I was recording something with Jason Hilton and I wasn't really thinking straight. And I texted Leela in the middle of the recording and she was like, "Aren't you recording?" And I was like, "Don't tell Jason that I was texting." You need to get yourself a fidget toy, my dude.
That's my next investment, actually. You know, as much as I said I can't live without my laptop, I do need fidget toys. I can't sit on meetings anymore. Like even.
Yeah. That's why I learned to crochet.
Well, and I've been very tempted by crochet as well. Actually, I'm very tempted to go. Australians will know. I'm very tempted to go down to my local Spotlight and ask the local ladies there what I should start crocheting, because I feel like I could make some wicked blankets.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, last question, Sam. What zoo animal do you empathize with the most?
Can I say the penguins of Madagascar?
Yes, absolutely.
Just like the commitment to every bit known to man. Like,
it's so funny that you're talking about like a specific group of movie characters instead of like any real animal. I do love those penguins though. They're so fucking funny.
I do empathize with like a chicken. Like, you know those like farm like zoos, and they've got like chickens and like deer running wild. I got funny story. And my poor previous housemate, great friend of mine, Hannah, is going to hate me for this. For my birthday, so turned 22, we worked all day, and then she's like, "You know what? We're going to go to the zoo, and then we're going to go to a movie." She'd been to the zoo. She loved it. I was like, "Yes, such a relaxing time. We'll sit and we'll read." No, we got mobbed by deer because we decided to buy food, and the deer just like were, yeah. And I'm like not a fan of like big animals like that. So I was like very, very anxious.
But they're a fan of you.
They were very much a fan of me. And then we went to go watch the movie, and the cinema was closed because they actually don't show on a Monday, and we were looking at the schedule for a Thursday.
Oh my God. Wow. Well, at least you got to hang out with a friend.
It was actually really fun. It was a really lovely afternoon. And despite how many times she tries to say sorry to me, I have banned her from saying sorry about that series of events, because it's actually the funniest thing ever, and probably the best way to spend an adult birthday. Doing something that makes you feel mildly uncomfortable and not being able to read a schedule properly. Like, the fact is that both of us read the schedule wrong. Like, it wasn't just like her fault. It was my fault too. I could have read it right and said something.
That's the thing, is like, if we're idiots, at least it's together.
Exactly.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining me on Content and Capable this week.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Yeah. I gotta get you back on the show soon. Tell the listeners where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at sam.the.journalist. I'm also I'm also on TikTok. Sorry, I'm also on TikTok. I don't post much on TikTok anymore, but I have been considering getting back into it. It's just really hard when you want to go to sleep at like 3 p.m. So,
yeah, I feel you. And what's something you've been reading, watching, playing, listening to that you think the listeners would enjoy?
Ooh, I have started Grey's Anatomy, and
whoa,
like, this is Shondaland.
Didn't that show run for like 20 years?
Look, I finished season 1, and it's actually quite compelling and really just well-written television. There's a reason why, I can see why it runs for 20-something seasons. Like, it's like...
Doesn't Sandra Oh play a character named Christina in
Yes,
that
she
show?
does.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about it.
It's actually, like, a lot of fun. It's giving, like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but takes itself way more seriously, with a voiceover as well, which, like, the voiceover I find mildly questionable, but, like, I don't know. I've been enjoying it so far. It might be a bit of morbid curiosity, and also just, like, I've seen enough clips on TikTok that I've just been very tempted, but it's, like, nice to have, like, a massive backlog of, like, TV to, like, watch when you got the spare time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there will come a
Yeah.
point, like all Shondaland shows, where I just need to take a break. Like, you just can't binge watch Shondaland. Any of her shows is just like, you know, Scandal, I've had to stop like 3 or 4 times to like give myself breathing room. Even Bridgerton, I've had to like stop and like, I can't watch all of it at once. It's dangerous.
Awesome. Well, fuck. Well, I've been your host, Christina. You can find me on my podcast. This is getting confusing now. Go listen to Burn Before Reading. Find me online at Christina Khan. This week I'm gonna plug. Well, my old news binge TV show lately is Once Upon a Time. I've been rewatching that. So if you're like, I would like a super bingeable show, throwback show, but Grey's Anatomy sounds a little depressing. Or like a little intense for my taste. I don't like medical stuff. Head on over to Once Upon a Time.
I'll get onto that at some point, and then we can all like complain together about how ridiculous that show is. Because if I've heard anything about it, that show is
very ridiculous.
It's a special kind of ridiculous.
Anything can happen. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you for having me. This is so silly.
Happy April Fool's Day! We're so silly.
You've been pranked by the Prank
Oh my God,
Patrol.
that was so fun.
Content and Capable was recorded, edited, and produced by Samuel O'Brien. You can follow the podcast at Content, the letter N, Capable on Instagram, and you can find it on Facebook. You can also send an email through to contentandcapablepod@gmail.com with any of your thoughts, queries, or concerns. The best way to support the podcast is to leave a review on your preferred podcatcher so more people can hear the podcast. The art was done by Opia, and the music was written, edited, and produced by Jason Hilton. Content and Capable is proud to be a part of the Deus Ex Media Network, where you can find a podcast for any of your nerdy interests.
We are
Not the crystal gems.
We are the Bits,
The bits, the bits, the bits.
a Steven Universe review podcast
Celebrating the 10th anniversary.
of a show that's very near and dear to our hearts,
So get ready to cry with us
and try our best not to sing.
as we rewatch one of the gayest shows of the 2010s,
New episodes coming out to you every Friday.
featuring your favorite host, Charlie.
And Robert.
Thank you for listening to Content and Capable. Don't forget to rate and review, and we'll see you next week for another episode.
Deus Ex Media.
Okay, counting backwards. 3, 2, clap with me, 1.
I remembered I was like, wait, what is he doing?
The panic on your face. I was like, I'm just going to keep going and hopefully this works.